So these are the 3 things that you need to know about home inspections when you're buying your home. Hi, I'm Joe Poliak, local San Francisco Bay Area real estate agent with Rise Homes. Thanks so much for watching this video. Really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy. Let's jump right in. Number 1, remember, this is a general home inspection, so they're not going to be going into specifics about specific components of the house, like foundations or electrical or plumbing, etc. Most of the time, or oftentimes, the inspector is like a retired contractor or somebody who has significant experience with construction of properties, and they are somebody who has had a lot of familiarity and a lot of experience with codes, local codes and state codes about how houses should be built or constructed or what needs to be done. They're also somebody who's went through a lot of training in this department, so they should know about all the modern codes and what's happening with cities and what's allowed and not allowed to be built and how it's allowed to be built, etc., etc. Just remember, though, they are a generalist, so they're in there to give you a general home inspection. So, for instance, if they notice, they're crawling through the crawl space and they notice a vertical crack in the foundation and it seems to be fairly significant, that's what they're going to write, is that they see a vertical crack in the foundation. It seems to be fairly significant. Here are some common issues that could occur from that. I recommend reaching out to a specialist, a foundation expert, somebody to give you more details about what this is and what the potential issues are and how much it would cost to fix it. So the general home inspection report will not go into those kind of specifics. So oftentimes, depending on the situation, if you are in escrow and then you find an issue like that, the inspector finds an issue like that, what I would always recommend to my client is that we get an additional inspection foundation expert or a company that will do the work. We also actually have local company in engineering, Bear Engineering, which does just foundation inspection specifically and only, but they don't do the work, but they can give you objective pricing. That's also a great solution. So with foundations as an example, in that type of a situation, I would bring somebody like that in so that you understand in detail what the potential issues are and how much they could cost you. And that way you can decide how much to request for a discount in the price or potentially a request for repair during negotiations with the seller. Now, oftentimes in the San Francisco Bay Area, we receive inspection reports before even making an offer on the property. And oftentimes they will have additional, more specific inspection reports, like a foundation inspector or a foundation company that comes in and gives a bid. And so what I recommend in those scenarios is that you take that into account when submitting your offer, so that if you're planning on offering $1 million, but it turns out you need $20,000 worth of foundation work after you buy the house, then I recommend you drop the price by at least $20,000 and maybe even a little bit extra to take into account the additional time and money you're going to have to invest into the property. Hey, if you like this video so far, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button wherever you're watching this video. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Number 2, and I touched on this on the first one, is that there are not going to be any bids or estimates. So there's not going to be any price on what needs to be done. So for instance, common things that I'll see in inspection reports are saying that, hey, the water heater, the way that it's installed is not up to code. It's not raised enough. It doesn't have the drip pan. So they'll write these things down, but they won't give you any kind of price to correct it. So oftentimes what we do with our clients is I send these inspection reports, or I get a plumbing contractor into a property for this kind of an example, or an electrician for doing recommended electrical work based on the inspection. And I'll get exact pricing for my clients so that they can know this is how we're going to adjust our offer price, or this is what we're going to try to negotiate back. Number 3 is you should have a little bit of cynicism, or sometimes even take the report with a grain of salt, or certain aspects of the report with a grain of salt. And there's a couple of reasons for this. Number 1 is, remember, there's a lot of liability associated with doing a home inspection. If you miss something, then potentially a homeowner could try to sue you and say, hey, I bought the house thinking that it is in this condition, and it turns out you missed something that was fairly significant for us and ended up costing us a lot of money. So if it's a fairly litigious person and they get wound up with certain type of attorney, then they might sue. And they'll sue everybody. They'll sue the home inspector. They'll sue both realtors. They'll sue the seller. They'll sue everybody to get as much money as they can. Due to that, because we're in a very litigious state in California, oftentimes home inspectors will go into a lot more detail and make things sound a lot worse than they actually are, or use some sort of language to make things seem like a bigger issue than they really are. and a more expensive seeming issue than they really are, just to protect themselves against liability. So you have to recognize that for what it is. So for instance, there could be language about not having GFCI outlets that makes it sound extremely scary and dangerous, whereas it turns out when you get an electrician in there, they'll say, oh great, I will charge $50 per outlet, and there's 7 outlets, so that's only $350. Oh, it's only $350 to fix this issue entirely? That makes it sound like it's tens of thousands of dollars, very large type of issue. And the answer is sometimes yes. So it's about having a really good, experienced, educated realtor who's able to identify these things to help you separate things that are just sound very, very scary from those things that actually could be fairly substantial down the line. On the flip side, sometimes at the end of the day, inspectors are human. They maybe are on their 3rd inspection of the day, and maybe they have stuff going on at home, or just, maybe they're, it's after lunch and they're a little bit tired, and not everybody gets everything 100% of the time. Home inspectors are great people, and they're great at their job, but everybody makes a little mistake or misses something here and there. So what is really important to do is just review the report in detail, but also I always like to go back with my clients to the property with the report in hand, generally speaking on a laptop or something with us there at the property, and go through the items one by one physically, review them together. Sometimes the client will bring their contractor or a friend who's in construction, or a relative or somebody else who has experience as well. And we put our heads together, we look at these items one by one, and we really understand whether it's a bigger deal than it seems like in the report, or it's a smaller deal than it seems like it's in the report. Often important to not just read the inspection report, but really go into detail on each item. Remember, you're buying a very, very, very expensive asset, and most of the time you're putting in a big chunk of your life savings, and potentially even your parents or somebody else is gifting you a lot of money to make this investment. So it's really, really important that you just know what you're buying and review all the components in detail. Have you ever had a home inspection that went sour? Tell us about it in the comment section below. So to summarize, number 1, remember, the home inspector is a generalist, not a specialist. Number 2, there are not going to be any price estimates or bid in most inspection reports because the home inspector does not also do the work. They only inspect homes, which is actually very good separation. And number 3, have a little bit of cynicism when reviewing these inspection reports, and make sure you take extra time and precaution to review them in detail, but also go to the house itself and review all of these items. Number 4 that I'm leaving out, that's a little bonus item. Do not annoy the inspector by being there during the inspection and asking them what is happening during the inspection. It's kind of like going on a road trip and having somebody say, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? No inspector likes that or enjoys that. At the best, what you should do is wait for the inspector to finish, have them give you a call when they're done, plan to arrive around the time that they're planning to finish, so they can maybe just point out some physical things and summarize what they saw, and point out things for you in person at that time. But by no means do not annoy and bother an inspector while they're there throughout the whole time. And especially do not bring your father to do that either, because everyone will have a bad time during that situation. Hey, so that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it. If you learned something new, if you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and of course, the like button. And don't forget to also comment with any questions, concerns, feedback that you have about this video. Again, thanks so much for watching it, and I will see you on the next one.